Welcome to this School of Ops module on public cloud management with vRealize operations. The information in this module is current as of the 8.4 release of vRealize operations and vRealize operations cloud. However, we are rapidly improving our capabilities here, and you should check our release notes often for new features for public cloud management. You probably have customers who are either using or considering public cloud. Some customers are even setting a public cloud first policy for new workloads. Because of this, it is important to help them understand that vRealize operations will support these public clouds so that they can continue to use the same tools as before. In fact, we will see how vRealize operations helps them move to public cloud with planning and resource management. vRealize Operations provides native monitoring for the two most popular hyperscalers, AWS and Azure. Customers simply configure a cloud account, and vRealize Operations will find and monitor services, establish relationships, provide capacity forecasting for VMs, and more. For Google Cloud Platform, an optional management pack is available and it offers coverage for some of the fundamental services. Our goal is to cover all the services for these hyperscalers and offer them natively. So keep up with every release as we intend to improve our public cloud coverage very rapidly. One improvement we made in the 8.4 release was with the adapters for public cloud. Previously in 8.2 and 8.3, we were using native monitoring via CloudWatch and Azure Monitor to collect metrics. Now we're using these tools for service discovery as well. This allowed us to support 33 new AWS services and 32 new Azure services, and we will continue to ramp up. We use the native namespace that the tools provide to identify the service and build a relationship model based on the region. Not only do we get all out-of-the-box metrics, but this new model allows us to easily pick up new services from AWS and Azure. It also allows for monitoring of custom services. Let's look at how this will improve our coverage. Existing services that we covered are level 1 services. They have full relationship visibility and support metrics and properties. New services will be added as level 2 services using native integration with public cloud monitoring tools. The relationships are basic, mapping to a specific parent region, and only metrics are available. With each release, new services will be brought in as level 2, and existing level 2 services will be promoted to level 1. In addition to monitoring and troubleshooting, our public cloud management capabilities include planning scenarios for migration to public cloud. This allows customers to compare cost and sizing for 3 different cloud providers at a time. Out of the box, we support what-if migration scenarios for AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and IBM Cloud. Other clouds can be added to customize the what-if planning by simply importing the rate card for the cloud provider. In what-if planning, the costs are shown based on the published non-discounted rates from the cloud provider. Cloud Health by VMware provides public cloud billing analysis, recommendations for sizing and efficiency, and more. Through an integration with vRealize Operations, customers can view billing-based costs in vRealize Operations dashboard for a more complete view of public clouds under management. Into vRealize Operations, if you need to log in, you can log in using your VMware credentials. I'm already logged in as it happens, so I didn't have to go through that, but just be aware you would use your VMware credentials to log into this environment. Let's look first at how the cloud integrations are set up. So the two native monitoring, two public clouds that are natively monitored, AWS and Microsoft Azure, are in the cloud accounts. And you simply come in here, click on the cloud account that you wish, and then each of them is a little unique, but very similar in that they need some kind of credential set to authenticate to your cloud accounts, your AWS cloud account, etc. And usually there is some combination of secrets and keys and so forth. And you would just fill out that information here as well as any proxy information that you may need as well. And then you add it and you're good to go. Obviously, I've already added those here, so we're not going to look at those ones that are already set up. But for the Google Cloud, what you'll do is you'll first need to install a management pack, and you can do that from the repository. Again, it's already installed in this environment. I'm just walking through some of the things you may want to show your customer. But in the repository, you can add a new management pack, which you would download from the marketplace. And then once it's added in here, it will show up under other accounts. And then you can add your account, look for the GCP adapter, and then fill that out as appropriate, with the secrets and information you need for your Google Cloud account. The integrations also come with a set of out-of-the-box content. So there's object types, there are alerts, there are dashboards and views. And so those dashboards can be found under the Dashboards tab if you just click on the little menu icon here. And notice there are folders for AWS. So you have AWS services, you have different AWS views, optimization, troubleshooting, performance, disk space, availability, etc. GCP, very similar. There's not as many of those, but again, this content will be growing over time. And then Microsoft Azure as well. So be sure to check out these dashboards, any of them that may look interesting to you. We don't have time to go into each and every one of them, but feel free to explore them in this environment and learn about them and show your customers the ones that you think are most compelling for them. Now, the other thing is once you set up these integrations, there are inventory trees under the environments tab for each of those. So for example, AWS. AWS is, and all of these really are grouped by accounts and regions. For Google, it's projects and regions. But if I go to the accounts inventory tree, for example, I see the accounts that I have set up, and then I see the regions that I'm consuming or monitoring underneath that. By the way, you can configure the adapters, the cloud accounts, to only monitor certain regions and certain object types or services within those regions, and that's what we've done here. That's why you only see stuff from the US West, North California region. But I can see all the objects that I want to monitor in here, so I have VCPs, and you'll see the relationships as well. So I have a security groups under the VCP, then I have Elastic Network Interfaces. Here I have a subnet, and then there's EC2 instances underneath that subnet. I have the boot disk, which is an EBS volume. The Elastic Network Interface. One of the other things to notice about this, well, let me just show you quickly the metrics tab. In the metrics tab, you can see those relationships between all of the AWS objects. You can see the metrics that are collected. Here are metrics for CPU, for example. Here are the properties for that EC2 instance. So for example, runtime, I can see the power state, etc. Now, one of the other things that we do with these public clouds is we provide capacity for the VM objects. So for example, I can see that, I know that this EC2 instance is configured with some amount of compute and storage. And so I can keep an eye on that and see if I'm going to run out of compute capacity based on its configuration within a certain amount of time. So I have plenty of time remaining for this. That's not a worry. But, if I wanted to, I could understand if this was appropriately sized. If it were too small or running out of capacity. So just another thing that you can do with this. Now I mentioned the planning, the migration planning or what if scenarios. You can find that under the Home tab. If you look at the sidebar navigation bar here or panel, there's a what if analysis. You can also link to it under the optimized capacity pillar by clicking on plan. So both of those links will take you to the same thing. And what you're looking for are the migration planning public cloud migration scenarios. So let's go ahead and plan a migration. Just give it a name. And then you'll select up to 3 clouds. So you can select 3 different clouds and compare them. So let's say, for example, I'm doing US East 2 for Azure. I want to do maybe US East 2. And then for Google, maybe I'm doing Northern Virginia here. Okay. So I have the 3. Now I would select the profile of the application that I'm going to want to migrate or place in these clouds. And I can put in the CPU, memory, disk space, the OS, and the number of VM instances. But what I like to do, especially when I'm showing a customer, is since we have this historical information about all of the VMs that we're monitoring in the private cloud, I can just select those VMs, and I'll select all 50 that are on the view here, but I could select as many as I wanted to. And when I select those, it knows, vRealize Operations already knows how they're configured from an allocation standpoint for memory and CPU, and then what they're actually using from a disk space and a memory and CPU demand standpoint. So you can make smarter sizing decisions based on that information. You can, if you want, change the quantity. So if you were going to move like a bunch of web servers in, create maybe new web servers, and you planned on eventually having 50 web servers, but you wanted to use one as a model in your environment, you could do that and just bump the number here up to 50. When you run the scenario, it'll come back and it'll say, here are the 3 clouds that you wanted to compare. Here are the regions that you selected. You can change these on the fly if you wish. And then it'll give you a cost estimate based on the published rate cards for those cloud providers. Okay. So this is not necessarily if the customer has negotiated a contract with, these cloud providers that includes a certain level of discount. We're not taking that into consideration. This is just kind of a thumbnail planning approach. But what's really cool about this is it looks at our virtual machine configuration and utilization, and it says, okay, based on what we see, it's going to need to be a T2 small instance, 1 CPU, 2 gigs, and 5 gigs of storage on a Linux OS, and this will be our instance cost. And then if I had multiple machines, the total cost would be just a multiple of that. And then I can see the instance sizes for each of the different clouds. As I mentioned, you can edit this, go back and edit and change to different clouds, or you can save the scenario and run it later if you wanted to pull it up again and use it as a reference or something like that. It's really up to you. So pretty cool, powerful capability in vRealize Operations. The last thing I want to show you is the cloud health integration. Again, how you set this up, assuming your customer is running cloud health, which is a SaaS service, you would, in the repository, you would add the cloud health management pack. So I've got it installed here. And then under other accounts, I would add the cloud health adapter. And it's just as simple as, filling out the credential with the secrets and keys that I need to access that. Once I have that set up, there are some dashboards, 3 dashboards that are available with the integration. So those are worth checking out. If you go to the cloud health folder, you can see there's an AWS, Azure, and GCP cost overview dashboard. And these just provide you with trending for your billing as well as your month-to-date cost from the information that is provided from Cloud Health through that integration. So you can really have all that information in one UI, but you can obviously use Cloud Health to get more detailed information, get analytics on how to optimize your public cloud spend, and so forth. So, but that is essentially all that I had to show you in this module today. Thank you very much. Be sure to check out the rest of the School of Ops modules. Thank you.